Hey guys, welcome back to Radical Living Podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, follow and leave a review on all of our platforms. This episode I sat down with Grace Carson to chat about lots of different topics. At the beginning of this conversation, Grace was telling me about her faith and how she came to trust in Jesus. She went to Sunday school, GB, church, and really her faith journey started from there. We chatted a little bit about the misconception surrounding Christianity, of how whenever you become a Christian, somehow you have it all together and everything is okay. But actually, we were talking about the reality that doesn't happen, and instead life throws us curveballs and life doesn't stop for any one of us. We pick up this conversation where Grace begins to talk about that and the first curveball life threw at her, but how her faith helped her through it and really how her journey began to unfold. We talk about anorexia, body image, health, fitness. We talk about Grace's love and passion for running and how she has broken records and will continue to do so. Hope you guys enjoy this. If anything challenges you or speaks to you, don't hesitate to get in touch via our social media on Instagram and Facebook. Hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, just picking up from what you said there, how life just kind of happens, and it happens out of the blue, whether it's to us on a personal level or whether it's to somebody who we know and we care about. Kind of take us through like how school was, and you know what that was like.
So I went to quite a small primary school, and I'm from sort of like an area where everyone sort of knows everyone. So my primary,
That's Northern Ireland.
Yeah, that is Northern Ireland. Let's face it. But yeah, I had good friends. I had one friend who I've been friends with right from primary, like P1. And I had quite a happy childhood, happy at primary school. And then I was about 7, so I think I was primary 4. And that's sort of whenever life threw its first sort of curveball at our family. And we were told so I'm one of 4, I'm the eldest. At the time I was 7, my brother was 6, my sister was about 4, and then my youngest was 1. So we were all quite small, we were quite young. And we were told that my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I don't think, like, at any age, you're sort of, from a young age, you know that cancer's bad. You maybe don't realise or understand how bad it is, but you know it's not good. So that was a really difficult time for us all because it was scary. I just thought Mum's going to die, like this is bad. So I felt we all dealt with it in our own ways, and I suppose my way of dealing with it was taking on Mum's role because she couldn't do everything. So I wanted to try and be as helpful as I could. And I tried to be as strong as I could for my brothers and sister, and also my dad, because he's one of these people that puts on this big brave face, but deep down I knew he was just as scared as us. So that was really tough, but the doctors were confident that she could be treated, and through radiotherapy, chemotherapy, then the results came back and she was healed, she was made better.
Amazing.
So that was good. But then fast forward, I made it through primary school and got to high school. I transitioned quite smoothly from primary to secondary, in that I was put into a class with my best friend. So from that side of things, like, I didn't have any sort of problems fitting in. It did take a wee while adjusting to the new routine, but I think that's the same for everyone. And then second year, so I was about 13, and things, curveball number 2 came. In June 2013 I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. And for like listeners who are listening to this, like, anorexia nervosa is an illness. I think everyone's heard of the term anorexia, and basically it's just a fancy name for that.
Yeah.
But for people who maybe don't know what it is an illness. And whenever I was looking up, because I wanted just to be certain, like I wanted to know what the definition of an illness actually is.
Yeah.
And it's a disease or a period of sickness that affects either or both your body or mind. And when we think of an illness, we just automatically think it's something that's physical. But that's not just the case. So yeah, I was diagnosed with that, and that was a really difficult time because it affected not just me but my whole family. Yeah. First of all, just like I think it's important that I clarify sort of what anorexia is. So I've said that like it's a mental illness, but people who have it, they become sort of almost like obsessed with trying to stay in like significantly underweight. So they'll engage in behaviours such as reducing their energy intake or exercising obsessively. But also when a person with anorexia looks at themselves in the mirror, they don't see what everyone else sees. They don't see this thin person. They see someone that's normal, someone that like that doesn't look skinny, that doesn't look severely underweight. And that's what makes recovery so difficult, because if you don't see the problem, then you can't see what needs to be fixed. You can't see why everyone around you is so worried or thinks you know you're really ill, you need to get better. So for a long time I didn't see the seriousness of it. I don't know exactly, and I wish I did, but I don't know exactly what the cause of my eating disorder was. But I think I am, as much as I hate to say I am, sort of a perfectionist in everything I try to do to the best of my ability. I try to strive. For a long time I tried to strive for perfection, and it's only really now that I'm learning that perfection doesn't exist. We can try to strive for it, but perfection, being a perfectionist isn't a bad thing. But it becomes a bad thing or becomes dangerous when we just constantly strive for it. Because being perfect, doesn't exist.
Yeah, so I'm just going to jump in. I think what you've kind of shared about anorexia and what it actually is, I think that's just so important for anybody that's listening.
Yeah.
How, for somebody that is listening, or how could we be more aware? Maybe there is somebody in our circle who struggles with it. Are there signs of that developing? How can we be aware of that?
I think it can be really difficult, because I know that my mum used to beat herself up, like, why did she not see the signs sooner? And it's no one's fault. Like, it's such a secretive illness, because you're become so good like at hiding it until then the physical changes happen and you can dramatically see it. But for a long time it's the mental side that you don't see. So I think when you see someone who just looks like they're struggling, and I suppose that might not be a sign that I suppose it's just common knowledge that if you see someone struggling, just don't be afraid to ask them, are you okay? Like, do you need to talk about it? Or just even, I don't know, at the current situation, like, it's not possible, but hugs or like such, they just say sometimes more than words alone can. So if you are struggling or know if someone's struggling, just don't be afraid to start a conversation, because we tiptoe around the subject of eating disorders too much until it gets to the stage where we get to that point where it's impossible to talk to the person. And you just need to sort of have it. And
I think just something you said there about just go up to somebody and encourage them.
Definitely.
Well, or, it might be a behavioural, it might be, be noticed in that way before a physical. And
you're not going to say, like, you're not going to have the perfect thing to say. But that's not it. It's just that person knows that they have you, that they have your support, and that means more. Like, don't put a pressure on yourself that I need to say the perfect thing to get them better, or I need to know what to say. Don't be scared about it. Like, just be you.
I think that's really important, actually, just what you said. I think sometimes we as humans, we try to go in with the right answer, the right things to say, but even with the best heart, we say something wrong.
Yeah, and because we're only human, like we're going to say, but I think also just don't think that like just listen sometimes.
Yeah.
Because listening's sometimes is more powerful than words. So yeah.
I think there's just great power in, if you're the one, for somebody that's listening who is struggling with that or struggling with something totally different, I think it's just good to talk it out, because I think the worst thing we could do is keep it in.
Yeah.
And I know that's something I've learned in previous years.
Yeah.
It's just better to have a core group of people that you can be open and honest with.
Definitely.
And kind of going straight from that, whenever you were, in the midst of that eating disorder, and there was a group of people that really helped you. Yeah.
So I am really blessed that I have a really supportive family and friends. And I suppose through high school, like when I was going through the eating disorder, I had 3 really good friends from high school. And they could have so easily just given up on me. They could have abandoned me. Like, I mean, teenage girls, let's face it, like they change friends all the time. But these 3 friends, they stuck by me. And they've been there through it all. They made it so much easier, because I was so scared about going back to school after, because I was admitted to hospital. And I was scared about going back to school, because I knew people looked at me now as, oh, there's that girl with the eating disorder. They looked at me as if I was this like vulnerable character that they were scared, as I said, in case they said the wrong thing. And I just wanted to be treated like Grace, not Grace with an eating disorder. I didn't want that label. But they didn't treat me any differently. And yeah, I'm so grateful for that. But they not only were paramount in my recovery, but my family obviously were with me the whole way. My poor mum and dad, I put them through torture at times. They probably thought, oh, Grace, give me a break. But they were with me through it all. And also 2 other people, Hannah and Ruth, I just want to mention them because they honestly are like sisters to me and my actual sister. Like they've saw me at my very lowest. So yeah, they're people I'm so grateful for that have got me through it, and that's why I'm sitting here today.
Amen. Shout out to Hannah and Ruth.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, but just on that, I think, for anybody, listening, if you are a friend to somebody who is struggling with whatever, it's stick by them.
Yeah.
And, especially if we're younger, even if we're older, I think the easy option is just to kind of think, well, that's their problem. But it's, that's not what true friendship is. It's getting around them, supporting them through the good, the bad, the ugly, highs and lows, ups and downs. So I just think that's really
definitely
beautiful to hear. For those people who are listening, that they know who they are. And I just want to encourage them and anybody who maybe is like them, because I think you said there, they could have walked away at any time. And I think, we as people, we can, but just hang in there and help that person through whatever it is they need.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's also, I'm sure we've all heard it, but the saying that you find out who your closest friends are when they stick by you through the difficult times or when you're at your lowest. And that honestly is so true. You really do find out who your true friends are, and the people who are just there because, well, you were a laugh at a time.
And they want to know what's going on. Just, you mentioned there in what you were saying about your time during hospital, there is a group, CAMS.
Yes.
Could you maybe take us through what CAMS, what that is, for anybody that's listening, and really like how supportive they were to you?
So CAMS is basically a service that is provided by the NHS, and it stands, so it's spelt CAMHS. It stands for Child and Adolescent Mental Health, and it basically supports young people, so adolescents and young people who have mental health concerns. It doesn't have to be specifically eating disorder related. It can be people who suffer from anxiety or OCD. But within this service is a specialist eating disorder team. And I was referred to them through my GP. But yeah, I know that people can be referred through teachers, parents, etc. So they I saw them, and I hated my psychiatrist at times. I'm not going to lie, I could have saw her far enough, but I definitely couldn't have done it with.
Grateful. Yeah.
But I couldn't have recovered by myself. So they were really supportive.
Yeah, and whenever you, so that period of time through hospital, when did you get discharged from that, and how was that then? You know, because I don't really know much about CAMS, but having that core constant in your life, how was that then? Maybe having to leave them?
So I was admitted to hospital the first day that I met, or I was referred to CAMS. The first day I saw my psychiatrist, she admitted me to hospital, so I was admitted straight to hospital, and I was there for 5 weeks. And although that was difficult, that was probably the easiest part of my recovery, because you didn't have a choice. You ate what you were given. If you didn't,
very structured.
Yeah, it was very structured. Everything was given to you, and it did feel like sort of you were in a bubble, a protected bubble. So even whenever I came out of hospital, I was scared because I didn't have that strict sort of supportive system, but I still was going to see CAMS. At the start it was weekly, then it was fortnightly, and gradually it was less and less frequently. But I suppose when I was finally discharged, so that was in, I think it was 2018. Now, bearing in mind that towards the end I was maybe seeing them twice a year, so it was a lot less frequent. But even just having that service, that if something was really worrying me, I could just phone them up and talk to my psychiatrist. It would be fine. So when I was finally discharged, we talked about my fears about it, but when it was confirmed, I sort of, I felt in one way, oh yay, party, but I was also scared because I was now accountable for my actions. I had no one to hold me accountable if I skipped a meal, or if I skipped a snack, or I didn't have that support system. So it was scary, but now I know that I was never alone, and I'm not alone even now. I have God on my side, and well, whenever you've God on your side, you don't need anyone else, or it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and just what you said there about just that support network, it's just so important to have that. And accountability. So having left CAMS, do you have people now to keep you accountable?
Oh yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
I mean, much
probably wish you could go back.
I mean, I don't think I think my mum and dad, no matter what age I'll be, they'll probably always hold me accountable.
That's their job.
Yeah. I mean, even mum was obviously really worried about me going to uni, and about that was a big thing, because she was like, Grace, I'm not sure if you'll be able to do it. So mum would constantly, even now, she's ringing and, have you had your tea? And what do you have for your tea? Like, it's just that. And I mean, sometimes I go, Mum, I'm 20 years old. I'm fine.
Give me a break.
But I know she just has my best interests in heart. And that means a lot.
Yeah.
So,
But I think accountability just in general is so important.
it is, definitely.
And you go to uni, where is it?
I go over in Loughborough, so over in England.
Okay, brilliant. So that's a big transition.
Yeah, that was a big change, because obviously it was leaving my family, friends, like just going and into the unknown, and I was scared, but it's probably been the best thing that I've done, because it's definitely helped me become more independent. And it's definitely been good for me.
And grow.
Yeah, definitely.
And how is it then over there? Obviously, we've talked about faith. How is that, sharing your faith with people over there? Is it easy? Does God give you loads of opportunities, or is it, slow and steady?
Yeah, it is. It's difficult at times. I mean, I'm so blessed that I have a really good group of friends over at Loughborough. But I'll admit, and a lot of them aren't Christians, which isn't a bad thing at all. But I don't go shouting it maybe from the rooftops, I'm a Christian. I hope that they see that there's even something different, just even through my actions, that there's something different about me. And yeah, I'm part also of me. I meet with a group every Wednesday morning. It's called Christians in Sport.
Brilliant.
And I found it just really helpful in my time at uni, just being a Christian, because I can meet with other Christians and we can pray together, we can read the Bible and just talk about even like difficulties that we have within our sport of being a Christian, because it's not, let's face it, it's not always easy. So yeah, I've found that really helpful.
Brilliant. Just kind of, you're very modest.
Oh, I don't know.
Because very recently you broke the 3,000 metre Northern Ireland record.
Yes.
Yeah. So throughout all this, and there's been a few curveballs.
Yes.
and there probably will still be. I hate to say it. But you have developed a love and a passion for running.
Yeah.
So how does that help you? You know, is that a release for you?
Yeah.
What upcoming events are there? Is that something you're still doing? Do you hope to continue to do it?
Yeah. I got into running sort of because I needed, at the time during my recovery, I needed something to just like take away or just to distract me sort of as a release from all the negative emotions that I was feeling. So I got into it at that stage, but at the time it was just more or less to just act as a release, and I joined a club, Markerfelt Dermot Ulster Athletic Club. And I remember the first time going to it, and I was so scared. I was like, oh, maybe I should just turn away now. Yeah. But I turned up every Tuesday night. I'd be there. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it's sort of, I could go and I didn't have to think about anything else. And it, like, the endorphins got going, adrenaline rush, and I just felt good afterwards. So I continued to go, and then my coach, he sort of was like, have you thought about entering any races? And I sort of was like, well, I was just doing this for fun, like I didn't really think of anything about that. But yeah, then I started entering races, and as I trained more, got better. And then, recently
broke a record.
I broke the under 20 3,000 meter record. So that was, a really, I was something I never would have thought possible. And I really hope that it's like, there's going to be more successful moments to come. But
just kind of on that, you didn't see it coming.
No.
So so you, obviously during that time, and you're like, first of all, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked.
No.
Sport definitely helps mental health.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that was a big thing for you probably at that time.
It was. I mean, my mum and dad were reluctant for me to obviously just take up running, because exercise before had been my way of like controlling my weight, but this time exercise became a way of, it was a positive thing for my mental health. I needed it to like just take my mind and act as a release from all this negativity that I was feeling. And even now, like, if I'm having a bad day and I really, sometimes the last thing, I'm like, I can't face training tonight. And I go and I just feel so much better. I feel like I'm so glad that I did that. So definitely it's, even not, because some people really don't like running, but even if it's just going out for a walk, getting a bit of fresh air, it could be doing a 20-minute workout. It doesn't have to be intense, but just getting moving is the best thing. And
socializing as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It helps massively.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Good. So I just think that's really important, like just being active, and just getting out there amongst people, or just even for yourself. So amazing. What would you say then? Because you were kind of, I would say, talk about like you didn't expect it, you didn't see it coming. How, like, somebody that's listening that maybe is on the edge about joining a club, or they have big dreams but they're holding back, is that encouraged you to dream bigger?
Yeah.
Because you've achieved this, and God obviously has that planned for you. And what would you say for people just to dream bigger and to be radical and just take that step? Because that's what radical is. It's not this big thing that you achieve, you know, and then that's it. Like, radical is a daily decision.
Yeah.
And to live that out.
Yeah. Like, I think once you like have a bit of, or once you sort of experience a bit of success, you get the taste for it and you want more, and it gives you the drive and determination to work harder. And I suppose I heard this like quote once, that if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. And so often I think we're like scared almost to dream big because of like what other people might think. They'll laugh at us for thinking that we could ever achieve something so big. But why should we let small minds convince us that our dreams are too big? Like, when did dreaming big become a crime? So yeah, like, I think it's so important that we do dream big, that because I genuinely believe if you have the work ethic, if you have the determination, but also if it's God's plan, then it'll happen. Because what's meant for you won't go past. So dream big, be radical, and I would really encourage that. And for anyone thinking about joining a club, a running club, just do it. Like, don't hold back. What's the worst that can happen? You don't like it, and don't go back then.
Brilliant. Just kind of coming to the end nearly, you know, obviously throughout your journey, and I've told you before, this is just the beginning, and I'm really excited to see where God takes you, where this goes. I can't wait. You've got an upcoming competition, is that right?
Yeah, so I'm actually I'm supposed to be racing this Saturday coming up, which I've like, even this week before, I was sort of like toiling in the back of my head, maybe I shouldn't do it, just pull out now, Grace, like maybe it's not a good idea. But I think you
have to be radical.
Yeah, exactly. I think no, I'm just gonna go, in the back of my head I'm thinking, what's the worst that can happen? That's the next race I have coming up. I also have a race I've entered then over in England in October. It's a 5k. So it should be good. It's supposed to be quite a fast, sort of flat course, and hopefully it still goes ahead. So
so exciting. And obviously, like, I'll be keeping up to date with what you're doing, and really excited to see where this goes. And just on that, where, like, do you see yourself in the future? Do you see yourself continuing running, like, on a more like professional, competitive level? Even like, have you ever thought about coaching, helping people through maybe what you've been through, or guiding them, or do you not know?
I honestly, genuinely, at the minute, I don't know where my life's heading. Like, I don't know where God's taken me, but I definitely would love to try and see how far I can get with running. I love it, and I'm prepared to put the work in. So I just, if God's plan is for me to make it as far as I can, then I'm willing to go that extra mile.
Very exciting. Kind of just finish us off throughout this journey that you've been on, and probably, hopefully, for however long you'll be on it. Has there ever been times, because you've been through quite a bit for 20 years old, you know, and you're doing good. Has there ever been a time, and obviously, like, I do think there is this misconception with, you know, Christians, that we always have to smile and trust God, and God's got a plan and he's got it figured out, and he does. But when we look at the Psalms in the Bible, those people were raw and they were real and they were honest, and sometimes they questioned God. Sometimes they asked God why. They cried out, they were happy, they were distraught. Has there ever been times where maybe you've questioned, like, God, what on earth are you doing here? Like, why is this happening to my mum? Why is this happening to me? Will I ever get through this? Will I ever come out the other side? And how has those experiences helped you grow in your faith?
Yeah, like, I've definitely questioned God, like, and probably I still continue to, but I think during those really dark days when it was just so difficult, I couldn't see that there was ever going to be any light, that I was ever getting out of this dark hole. I questioned him. I just thought, why, it's not fair. Why me? Why, not even why someone else, but just why me? And I suppose I still, even to this day, don't really know why I've went through it. Like, I'm pretty sure there was an easier way to get to the age of 21, to like 20, 21, and not having...
Are you 21 soon?
I'm coming 21 in February.
Oh, very good.
But yeah, there's obviously a reason. And even now, I look at my life, I'm going to be coming, as I said, soon 21. And a lot of my friends, they'll soon be graduating. They'll probably be securing jobs. Yeah. Some even are getting engaged or married. And I'm like, whoa, it's a long way off yet. And I think to myself, I don't know what direction my life's going. And I think it's so important that we realize that, yes, I question God, and I think, what have you got planned for my life? But he has a plan for each of our lives, and we just have to trust that. My faith has been tested time and time again. But actually, whenever I was preparing for this podcast, and whenever I was thinking back to those really, really dark times, when I just used to feel like just empty, what's the point? And I just lie there and just cried at myself, because I just thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't go through life feeling like this. And I suppose when I think about how far God has brought me, he's brought me through those difficult times. So why would he just give up now? And I think that's what I'm holding on to, and I sort of had forgot. And when I thought back to those times, I'm sort of like, you know what, he's not going to give up now.
No, God's there. And I think just kind of the finish on that, I was reading this week, I was actually on the treadmill. I was only walking, I wasn't running.
You sure?
Yep, I was only walking, and I was thinking to myself, it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, it says in verses 8 to 12, it talks about how whenever we are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed. And we are perplexed, but we are not driven to despair. And we are hunted down, but never abandoned by God.
Yeah.
And then it says, we get knocked down, but we are not destroyed. And through suffering, our bodies continue to share in the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be seen in our bodies. And I just think, even for you and for me and for anybody listening to this, no matter how dark it can get sometimes, no matter how tough it can get, there is better days coming. And definitely. God, and in that, God never abandons us. And he's always there, and he's always ready to pull us out, and there's always light. And I just wanted to make that really clear, whether it be an eating disorder, which is very real, and people struggle with it, and it is an illness, whether it be something else, God has you, whether you believe or whether you don't. And maybe somebody who's listening to this, maybe you do have a faith, maybe you've never thought about faith, maybe it's something that you might want to journey through, maybe it's something you haven't really thought about, but God is there with us. And definitely. Grace, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for what you shared. And it's just really educational for anybody who's listening to this, and hopefully people are inspired to talk if they're struggling with the same thing, but also just to have a good group of friends. And shout out to everybody that helped you.
Exactly.
Do you want to say anything just before we finish?
No, I just want to say, if you are someone who is listening to this and you can maybe relate to some of the things I've mentioned, I can't stress how important it is just to talk to someone. Just don't bottle it up, because for so too long I thought that opening up to people was a sign of weakness. I was scared of what other people would think, and in reality, maybe if I had have opened up to people sooner, I wouldn't have had to go through everything. But I think, don't bottle it up, because people can help.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Just what you said there, don't keep it in. guys, want to say a massive thank you to everyone who is listening. Also, Grace, thank you so much for sitting down and recording an episode with me. I was so challenged and inspired by your story and your journey and what you're trying to achieve. For those of you listening, if you want to get in touch, remember you can do that via our Instagram and our Facebook. Make sure to leave a review on all of our platforms and keep liking, subscribing, following and sharing Radical Living Podcast with as many people as you can. We have some amazing episodes coming up, and make sure to check out Grace on her social media. You can find her on Instagram and Facebook to keep up to date with her story and her journey. Once again, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it, and keep an eye on our social media for more updates and for more guests that are coming on. Remember guys, stay radical.